Hey everybody, it's Jon Meyers from Write Better Together. I will be teaching a master class this year at WriterCon in Oklahoma City, the end of August
through September 1st.
This master class is called Memoir: How to Successfully Cherry Pick 20 Small Moments from Your Life. Most writers have a preferred genre, but all writers can write a memoir. You're not writing your life story, you're writing stories from your life. Doesn't even matter your age, and you can write a memoir. In fact, you ought to write a few of them throughout your lifetime. This 3-hour interactive workshop will walk you through how to choose the 20 most compelling moments from your life so far and turn them into chapters for your memoir. I will dispel the limiting beliefs that stop writers from succeeding. You will learn the difference between a regular memoir and a performative memoir, and how a performative memoir can help you sell your books, even if you're an introvert. And if you're not an introvert, if you're a theater kid, you are going to be a natural. Then I will teach you how to structure your book, offer you my recommendations on how to brand yourself as a storyteller, and share in detail my exclusive marketing plan to take your book on the road to get it into the hands of your readers. This is the same plan that I've developed for myself and will be putting into practice in 2026, allowing me to offer you additional guidance beyond this masterclass at no additional cost. I will teach you some practical applications and strategies on the best way to communicate your message. I will cater this session in real time to cover the specific concerns of the attendees in the room. It's not just a boilerplate lecture. We're going to talk about your real life experiences. I will help you focus on the necessary steps to complete your memoir. There are hundreds of memoirs dumped into the market each year, but there is only one that you can write, and by focusing on performative memoir, you can separate yourself from the others. You will leave this session knowing how telling the truth is more important than telling the facts. Writing memoir is not an end-of-life activity. You'll actually want to write a few of them, like I said earlier, throughout your life. We'll be talking about the role that shame plays in building reader loyalty. You'll get a detailed plan covering the decisions you'll have to make, including but not limited to what moments from your life are worthy of a chapter and the best order for those chapters. Spoiler alert, it's probably not chronological. You'll work on a specific timeline to keep your project on track. You'll leave with a successful publishing marketing plan for your memoir. If you write books in any other genre, it'll help you sell those too. Spoiler alert again, the very fact that you're at this conference is the social proof you need that you can do this. As a bonus, after the session's over, you'll receive at no additional cost a free mini workbook that you can download to keep you on target with your objectives, and free lifetime access to our Write Better Together private Discord group. This will allow you to stay in touch with the other attendees that were in this session, plus a few other members who are also storytellers. You'll be able to swap notes with each other, trade stories, ask each other questions. You'll build a little community amongst yourselves. Make of it what you will. Many people don't realize that when I got my MFA in creative writing, the emphasis was on memoir, screenwriting, and then memoir. I've combined that education with my experience in teaching over 1,000 college students, along with hundreds of hours of conversations with professional writers, to build this class especially for you at WriterCon, August 29th through the 31st. The master class is on September 1st, Labor Day, at 9 a.m. to 12 noon on that Monday at WriterCon in Oklahoma City at the Skirvin Hotel. See you there. Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. I'm Jon Meyers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hello, Jon Meyers. And hey, look, everybody, it's Bob Saenz.
Oh, my gosh. What? It's starting to be a thing now. Like, Emily comes on like that. It's like, I'm getting used to it now. What?
Well, she's still here. The baby's pretty quiet. And we're happy they're no longer in the attic because we lost our air conditioning up here. We didn't want to cook them. So they're now downstairs in the guest room.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's a very nice room. So it's
I've
good.
I've seen your guest room. It's very nice.
Yes, it is.
That's a good place for a baby. So what are we talking about today, Bob Saenz?
There is quite the list.
Yay!
First, how we got out of our bubble.
Yep.
Then viewer responses.
Yes.
And then an interview with the great Justin Peters, who is a amazing musician, songwriter, record producer, jack of all trades. You'll like him a lot. And then we do a little Hey Jon Meyers because I get to do that this time, and I have a great thing to ask you.
All right.
And then after that, we're having the final act, and then you have some sort of game that I will hate.
The final act is a game, and I'll tell you right now, you won't hate it because it's all about you, and you love yourself. You don't hate yourself.
No, oh God, you don't know me very well, do you? I don't want a game about me.
So how'd you get out of your bubble?
I went to see Paul Simon.
Oh my goodness.
At the Ryman, and it was fabulous and wonderful.
What was there an opening act?
No,
it was all him.
They didn't even announce him. The band came out and sat down, and then he just kind of ambled out and came to a microphone in the front and was very funny and very engaging, and talked about what he was going to do that evening and how he was going to do it, and sat down and played his new album, 7 Psalms, completely from start to finish. Then left for about 20 minutes, came back in a new outfit, and played a plethora of his hits, which was amazing and wonderful. He had a 12-piece band that was as good as any band I've ever heard, and as tight as any band I've ever heard, and it was a lovely time. He's 83 years old. He is moving a little bit slower, but his voice was strong, and his guitar playing was incredible, and he was funny and sharp, and it was a lovely evening was had by all. And the best part about it, it was something on my wife's bucket list. She wanted to see. There were 2 people left she had not seen live. One of them was Paul Simon, and the other one is Stevie Wonder, and we're still waiting to see him.
Stevie, if you're watching, if you're listening to this, give us a call. Call up. The operators are standing by, and we'll leave it at
wants
that.
to see you.
What's the vibe of the new songs?
It's called 7 Psalms.
Right.
And they're all about life, and they're all about mortality. And they're all some of them were quite funny, and some of them were quite beautiful, and some of them were quite serious. It was a very lovely single piece of music with no breaks in it for applause or anything. I was quite impressed with it.
That'd be very moving. Do you think, did he say anything like, just in case this is my last, anything like John Prine made hints that this might be my last, or Loudon Wainwright?
He's already announced this is his finale. This tour is it.
But his final recording as well?
I don't know. He didn't say anything about that.
Loudon Wainwright, I love Loudon Wainwright. He is making those same overtures of, this could be the last. And
I like Loudon
in between the lines.
So how did you get out of your bubble?
Well, last week, it's funny how things come up. First of all, the show has no continuity because who knows? I already told Bob before we came on, I edited the wrong episode yesterday, and so we're actually talking about things that haven't happened yet in the Write Better Together world, because they're going to be on a future episode, and we're reflecting back upon things. We had an episode where we started it and Emily was in Nashville, and by the end of the episode she was in Florida somehow. There's no continuity on this show whatsoever.
But no continuity is now the thing. It's
we're like a cartoon.
Yeah.
So last week when we were recording this, you and Clay Baggett were talking about those rambunctious teenagers and how they vandalize things. And I was on my stupid walk, because I go on my stupid walk every day. Hashtag stupid walk. I hate going on my stupid walk. And the local high school, which I will not reveal the location, you know how when graduation happens, everyone plays pranks on the high school.
Yes.
Well, this is these terrible teenagers. This is their prank that they thought of. They put a for sale sign out in front of the school. Oh my gosh, what a giant prank. It was like the lamest prank I've ever heard. And then so I go on Facebook.
Well, it depends. Did they actually sell the school?
then it might work. And but there's a comment here of what a clam of it's not even that funny. But so I went on the local Facebook page, and the whole town thinks it's the most hilarious thing that's ever happened in the history of all things that have ever happened of comedy. That is the height of their comedy, and it's just not even funny. And so I want to ask you what your high school prank was, and then I'll tell you what ours was. Ours was a real prank.
I can't remember what our high. I think they put a Volkswagen in the swimming pool.
Yeah, that's a real prank.
Yeah.
So ours is,
or they put tires around the flagpole all the way to the top.
Oh, that's a good one too. See, ours was we took apart the principal's car, dismantled it, put it up on the roof, and rebuilt it up on the roof. And that's a real prank, man. Not sticking a for sale sign out in front of the high school. Oh, that's just so funny. And
again, it depends on whether they sold it and collected the money.
And then someone else posted that was their prank as well. And then I don't know why they didn't attack me, but they attacked this poor woman who said that was their prank as well, saying there's no way that would ever happen. You would have been arrested, blah, 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 blah. And you stole that from, I find that hard to believe you stole that from an episode of Full House. It was an episode of Full House, but those of us that really did it once upon a time, when we saw that episode of Full House, all the years later, we're like, oh, they got that idea from us.
Oh no, wonderful. I remember. I think the year after I graduated, they took a car apart and reassembled it in one of the classrooms. So I've seen that before. That's not like, and this is way before Full House. Trust me.
Here are some of the comments. My high school did this too. LMAO. LOL. Oh, this is hilarious. Oh, I wish I could have seen it. Oh, the storm probably blew the sign away, or I would go take a picture. This is hilarious. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. The other high school in town did the exact same thing. So funny. What is passing off as humor these days? That is not funny.
John, it's subjective. So what's funny to some is not funny to others.
It's just not funny.
You just have to learn to live with it, man.
And it's also like, how much vandalism is that? Like, the wind literally blew away your vandalism.
Between vandalism and funny stuff. Vandalism is destruction, and you don't want to destroy anything. So I think a prank is a prank. Vandalism is worse.
Then there's pranks like where you steal the other team's goat and stuff, or switch the goat with a pig and stuff like that. Those are pranks. Taking cars, putting a car in the bathtub, in the swimming pool. All right, that's my got out of my bubble.
Excellent. I'm so happy. All right, we got some viewer response.
Oh, we do. From so this viewer response has layers. First of all, it's from Dallin Malna, and Dallin, we haven't heard from you for a while, so thank you for a year ago. He would comment a lot, and so this is wonderful that he's back into the commenting business. And again, there's no continuity on this show. 2 weeks ago, one of the call to actions, which turned into be a short on YouTube, was Janice responding to the episode where Emily's Hey Jon Meyers was about sign language and teaching babies sign language. And Janice had responded, and it wound up in the short that said they taught their 14-month-old sign language, and the first thing that they taught was more strawberries. the first thing that the little kid could sign was more strawberries. And
that's nice. My daughter, she minored in college in American Sign Language.
Well, that's what
because she had a deaf friend that she wanted to communicate with. I thought it was pretty cool.
So that's what I was going to ask. So at what do any of your kids know sign language, and what age were they when they learned it?
She was in college and she learned it, and it was so she could communicate with this one particular person. And then she ended up, because she knew it, she ended up getting a great summer job because they needed somebody on that job who actually knew sign language. And when they interviewed her, they said, okay, one of the qualifications is, do you know American Sign Language? She goes, yeah, I absolutely do. And she said they completely lit up because they found somebody that was good and that actually knew it. She's a terrific human being, but she really she made a decision to honor somebody by learning that she knew and learning it. It was the brother of a really good friend of hers, and she said to me, "I think I'm gonna minor in it because I can, and I want to learn how to do this so I can communicate with them." And I thought, that's good for you, honey.
So yeah, that's great. Dallin, thanks for coming back and saying what a fantastic response. Dallin was so moved by the topic of sign language that he came back after several months absence to comment upon it. That's wonderful. Commented on the YouTube. So we encourage everyone to do that as well. And now Emily, Stephanie L. Jones, and Bob Saenz have all, I can do a montage of clips of all of you talking about a personal story about sign language, about ASL. All the co-hosts have now talked about it.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
So maybe we should get on with our interview with Justin Peters. What do you think?
I think maybe you should introduce him, and then we will.
Justin Peters is a Nashville songwriter. He's been doing it for probably his entire life. I think he wrote his first song at 16. He had his first #1 hit, which was in Hong Kong, of all places. But here he is. He's a music producer. He does music engineering. He develops artists. He develops writers. He does licensing. He does royalty accounting. He does copyright administration for music. He's an animal lover who has a charity for animals, and we'll talk about that. He's published and written songs that have been recorded by, you name it, they've recorded it. Amy Grant, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Jody Benson. I mean, a bunch of people that have all recorded it. He's had #1 hits. He's also recorded music for movies. And the way I met him was he did the music for a movie I wrote called The Farmer and the Bell, and he wrote the theme song and he wrote the music for the movie. And he is a terrific, tremendous human being that I admire greatly. So let's bring him on.
And we're back. Hey, I'm still Jon Meyers. It's still Bob Saenz. Who's this other person now?
His name is Justin Peters, and he's my friend. And he's a songwriter, and he's a music producer, and he's a animal lover, and he is all kinds of wonderful and delightful things that we're going to talk about today.
Fantastic.
He wears like 20 hats. There's so many. When I read his bio, there's like so much. I didn't know about the animal lover thing.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that.
All right. I want to set the table by pointing out all those different hats that you wear. I just watched this documentary of the 34-year-old producer producing Elton John's new album, and this 34-year-old man producing this 78-year-old man.
Yeah.
was able to motivate him and get him out of a funk. There were a couple days where he was in a funk, and like really lit a fire under him. You have so much experience producing people. That was amazing that a producer could do that. I've seen recording studios. I've been in them, but I've never been in a session. How do you do that? And how do you do that with someone that you idolize? Because the young man obviously idolized Elton John, but he still got the best out of him. How do you do that?
And the thing about Justin is he's been in those recording studios.
That's funny. I know.
With those kinds of artists.
Well, first of all, when you know you're working with somebody great, it's quite motivating, you know. And when they actually have talent, it can be quite easy. You know, there's some artists that are very difficult to produce, and you know, it's all different by artist. Every artist is different, but you have to listen and learn and know. And honestly, like if I got to produce my heroes, you know, which I have, I mean, I got to produce something on Rhonda Vincent. She's one of my favorite artists out there. And I mean, all I did, I called her up and she was in the middle of shopping at a store. And I said, hey, I got to do it. I want you to do it. I mean, will you come over here and record it? And you know what? She didn't. She put her stuff down and said she had it in a bag. Came over and we produced it that night. You know what I'm saying? And I just called her off the cuff, you know. And it's our first time working together. And I got to produce and sing with her. You know what I mean? So, and she's easy because I mean she's done duets with Elton John. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no, for real. She did one with Dolly Parton last year. I mean, you know, she's a Grammy-winning, first-class, world-class artist. And when you have those, you know, when you have those pros, it's so easy, man. It's so easy, man. You know.
So you're 2 degrees separated from Elton John.
Well, I mean, hey, they were already motivated, but some aren't. You know, and you just gotta pray about it and then listen hard, listen loudly.
Well, that's what. So I wrote when you were saying your answer. I wrote down listen because I just feel like that's going to come up a lot. Listening's going to come up a lot. Did you? So I saw the video with you and Rhonda Vincent on YouTube. Okay. Is that the one you're talking about? Is that the song you're talking about, or was there more than one?
Well, we did several videos together, but the duet one was a song called Santa Land. Excuse me, Santa Land. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that song
from Bob's movie
was the theme song from a movie I wrote called Farmer and the Belle, Saving Santa Land. And that's where I met Justin.
Yep.
Because we were out promoting the movie together and we got along like we just hit it off.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
I love Bobby right there. Bobby right there is one of my favorite people in Nashville.
Oh, man.
I've been a little bummed, though, because he's had too much harsh weather come his way. You know,
only a few people get to call him Bobby.
Well,
very few.
Yes.
Get to call me
yes.
Very few. So, what other of your heroes have you?
There are a couple of movie stars who call me Bobby, and I allow it because of who they are.
That's good of you.
Well, just for the record,
what other of your heroes did you get to produce?
Did I get to produce? Charlie McCoy. He's one of the greatest musicians in the world. I mean, like, you know, he plays bass, organ, keyboards, you know, harmonica. Harmonica is what he's known for.
Yeah, he's a great harmonica.
But I mean, like, he'd take 3 fishing tackle boxes to an Elvis session, and Elvis is like, "What the heck is this?" And he'd open them up, and there'd be all his harmonicas. You know what I mean? And then if there wasn't an organ playing there, I remember one session years ago. You know, he never played organ in his life, and he said, "Oh, I'll play it." And you know, that's the kind of guy he's been. He's just a legendary musician. And I actually wrote a song for him called "Harmonica Heaven." And I got to tell you, you know, I called him up. I said, "Man, I wrote this just for you. You're one of the best in the world." And the same thing, you know, he was over the next week, and we had it finished. Man, I had my engineer mix it, and it just turned out amazing. You know, he's just such a great guy. You know, when you have great musicians, wow, it's awesome to work with. You know what I mean?
When someone's that good, or as Rhonda Vincent, or just there's just so many people you've worked with, and they're already at a 10, right? They're 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
What do you do on an off day, and to get them to 11? Like, what do you do? What do you do?
Well, I will tell you this: if I don't care how big you are as an artist, you know, I'm going to make you work. I mean, I'm not going to take crap from anybody. I'm just being honest, you know. And like, you know, he was there for several hours, and He's usually probably out in an hour, But I told him, I said, look, man, I want to get this right. I got very specific things we want to get done. And at the same time, I've had places where I just want you to be you 1,000%. You know what I mean? You just take it over. And he was so gracious. I mean, he's just a pro. He was just a pro,
I saw Charlie McCoy earlier this year at the Opry.
Yeah.
And he played harmonica on a couple of songs, and it was astounding.
Yeah.
How good he is.
He's inspiring. But I mean, he plays everything. I mean, he's like, I think he plays more instruments than he's the oldest session player in Nashville that there is that's still doing major records.
Yeah, he said the night we were there that he had another session that he was doing the next day, that he is still hired out at 80, whatever he is.
He's hired out by the old guys, by the new guys, by everybody. He's just fantastic.
When let's pretend you're producing me or producing Bob. Bob's more stubborn than I am.
I've never heard Bob sing, so I would have to really spend some time with him before we got in the studio.
And there's something like what you just said. There's 5 more things you want to get done today, or the next take. I want these 3 things,
right.
And they don't, because this happened with Elton John in that documentary, and he didn't want to. But I saw this guy, this young man, get it out of him. So I want you to get that. Bob, you just told Bob to do something. He's like, no, I want to go home. I want to hear what that looks like.
I said, well, we're not. I tell him we're not done. I said, we can't be coming back here next week. We got to get this done today. And, that's what we're here for, is to execute with excellence what we got today. So that's what I would tell him, and I'm like, we ain't got too much time. We got the engineers here, we got the players here, and we need to get you down right, because this is the time to do it, I'd probably give him some water. If he was having a hard time and struggling or something, I'd get him some water, would pray. I believe in prayer myself. I pray for all my sessions, and I found out that makes a big difference. I'm just being real with you. We had people cleaning our house. You know what? We prayed before they cleaned my house this morning. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, man, my house looks fantastic today. It looks like we're ready to show it. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, are we selling this place or what? My wife's out of town, and when she comes home, she's not going to believe it.
So pray and then push through is the takeaway.
Hey, listen. When you write a song, and you've written songs for everybody from Amy Grant to, you name it. When you write a song, what gives you the original idea for what it's going to be, what it's going to be about, or what the theme is, or what the hook is going to be? How do you come up with those ideas?
I come up with them pretty easy. Right before we had this meeting, Bob, I was thinking of you. And I actually wrote a melody in honor of you. I wasn't going to call the song Bob, and I don't even know what I'm going to call it, but it was a whistling melody, and it was an excellent, very excellent whistling melody. And it'll be used. It'll be picked up and used. I just was inspired by you, Bob. Just thinking about you made me happy, and I wrote this happy whistling chorus. It's fantastic. And I put it down with guitar and me whistling, and it'll be great.
When you write lyrics, where does that come from?
Everywhere. Yesterday, I was thinking about how the rest of my life, I don't ever want to live empty. I want to be fulfilled. So I wrote a song called Fulfilled. The day before, I was thinking about my wife. She was out of town, and I was thinking about how I love to be next to her, and I wrote a song that was dealing with that, I got you got to realize I got songwriters. I got 35 songwriters that write for my company, and we have title days where we just come up with titles. We'll take 3 hours and just come up with titles, and then they can go work on them. I can work on them when we're apart, and I may finish one. He may finish one. We come together. It's incredible. And there's always titles that aren't so good, but then there's some amazing titles. There's some very weird titles out there, Bob. But honestly, before 10 o'clock every day, I've usually written 3 songs at least before my day even starts, to go out and write with others out there in planet Earth and other countries and other artists and stuff, I'm a very...
Do you Zoom with people and write?
I Zoom with them all the time, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be personally with them, but I got a worship writer in India, so it's a little hard to write with them,
Do you find that, so at our church we have this principle that reappears every once in a while of already not yet. And so this thing has come to fruition, it's complete, it's done, but then 5 years later the not yet shows up and you're like, whoa, it's way more done than it was before. So like with that whistling medley, you put it down and you're like, this is pretty good and it's going to remind me of Bob. And then but then you're recording 5 years from now or 3 years from now with someone and you're like, we need to put that whistling medley in there. And then you see it come to its full fruition. How does that feel when you're like, oh, that's why God told me to do that 3 years ago?
Well, I'll tell you an interesting one on that. I had a song.
Right.
I had a song called "Riptide" that I wrote, and it's a rock and roll, really cool song. And I was going to go in and demo it then, and I had drum tracks cut to it, and I was going to finish it off and go ahead and do it all. And I'm just going to be honest, the Lord told me not to do it, so I didn't do it. But I pray over my time, and if the Lord tells me yay or nay, I listen. Okay, I believe it's really important to listen to Him. He's leading my way. He owns my heart. He owns my house. Everything I own, He owns. It's His, man. So I'm trying to be a steward of His, use of my life. And anyway, like last year, I'm sitting there. I woke up. You're going to think I'm weird here, but I'm telling you, I literally woke up. I said, Lord, how do you want me to spend this day? Because I had a day where I didn't have any meetings, nothing booked, and it's very rare for me to have that. Okay, and I know to do that. So anyway, I prayed. You know what He told me? He said, I want you to go take your vehicle, and get the best detail that you can on it. All right. And the best place is in Franklin, Tennessee, and it's $350 for a detail. And on the way there, he said, I want you to stop at this store and I want you to buy a really cool outfit to wear. I'm like, okay. Well, you know what? I stopped by Kohl's, and bought an outfit that was really neat. And you know what? I go to the car place. I'm in my new outfit. I had breakfast and everything. And I get there and they got my van in the stall, and I'm sitting in this really nice lounge chair in this really nice, car wash. I mean, come on, $350. It better be a good car wash, right? And it's going to be 4 hours that I'm there waiting for my car, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to spend 4 hours, and I'll write, and I'll just work, take my phone calls from here, and I'll watch TV because I'm sitting there in luxury. I'm like the only person there in the front room. And then they had a guitar there that was missing 2 strings there. And I'm like, I ain't gonna do that. So I just sat down. I even ordered food to come delivered to me there. All right. I ordered like Sloski's, okay? Spent $26 paying some guy to bring me my food. So anyway, I'm there, 30 minutes into it. This girl walks by me, and somehow we wind up talking. And she wound up being the marketing person for that company. And the name of their company was the name of my song, Riptide. And she said, well, we need a theme song. And she says, need a theme song. And I didn't tell her that I'd written that until after we got further down the road. And I said, well, you know what? I got a killer one for you called Riptide. I've already got half the track done. And then while I was there, I wrote them their commercial for their company. All right? So instead of me just getting upset about spending $350 on a car wash, well, what about $25,000 for a commercial? I used to listen to God. You know what I mean?
Or getting upset the day when He's like, no, don't do that. Don't write this today. Like you could have gotten upset about that.
Right.
No,
I don't get
listening. You listen.
Yeah, I don't ever get upset.
Again, it goes back to that same word. It goes back to that word listen.
Yeah, so I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to you guys, but that's the way my life rolls every day, man. I'm not kidding. That's the way it is every day. I want to be known as a real human person who serves a real guy.
A real human.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to talk about that a little bit. That you don't just write songs for artists. You write songs for commercials. You write songs for corporate videos. You write music for anything that's got music on it. At some point in your career, you have written music for that.
Right. I just finished music for a movie. It's going to go in the Middle East. And I can't tell you the name of it, but I'll just tell you. I literally just finished the mix this morning. I have a guy, Bob Bullock. He's one of the best engineers in the world, and he does all my mixes for the record label. And he's on his way out of town. I said, well, we got to get this done before you leave. And an hour before he left, we got it done. And I just sent it over to them, and they loved it. And it was like 15 minutes before I was having this meeting with y'all. But I told him I sent it to him as soon as I got it done. But it's exciting. I love it that we do music all over the world. Bob, I know you love it. Don't you love it when your projects go around the world? I love it here in America, but I'm an international guy.
Well, it always astounds me when I get a residual check.
Don't you love it?
For some of my movies, and the list is like Bulgaria and
yes,
and France and Italy and Portugal and all these places where my movies have shown.
Yes,
where even if it's 28 cents,
yeah,
from that particular bit of residual, it's somebody in Portugal watched a movie I wrote. That's pretty
incredible.
Cool. I mean, it really, and it makes the world smaller too. It makes you realize how small it all is.
And I think it's important that our viewers remember that too. Like Bob knows this, but you don't know this, Justin. The first person that bought our book was in France. And then the first week we sold more in the UK and in Europe than we did in America. And then that was God orchestrating that. That wasn't that, like, we couldn't have done that, planned it that way. There are weeks where in the first 48 hours of this podcast, there are more people that watch it in Europe. It also depends on where the guest is from. Sometimes, like when we have a guest from Vietnam, obviously we had more Vietnam numbers than we normally do on a normal week. But it can be just the three of us, and then next week it'll be like people in the Netherlands are watching it for some reason. It just it gets in front of the people that need to see it.
Right.
I find it. I think that it all comes down to the internet bringing so many people so much closer together. I mean, I've done podcasts in Europe where I've been a guest on shows that we did with the European podcast, and I know you've done it. You've done all kinds of stuff with people from all over the world.
Right.
Do I remember once you did something in Korea?
Was that you? Hong Kong. I had a number one song in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So, and it was a hit in Hong Kong.
It was a number one in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Actually, that happened to me in college. It was one of my first number one songs I had as a songwriter, which was really cool.
What?
I mean, I still to this day get paid from that. And honestly, it's probably one of my biggest cuts because the guy who cut it was like Elvis in China. And I mean, he was huge. And it's the biggest record you could have got on for the Asian culture. And it was a duet with a girl. And it was, I mean, to this day, I still make good money on that song.
I remember you telling me that your first number one hit was in Hong Kong, and I remember thinking, wow.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, Elton John's publisher is the one who pitched it. I wrote it with one of his writers. Dick James was his name. And he had a writer that I wrote one song with, and that was the first song we ever wrote. And his name was Steve Davis, he was 16 years old when he made his first $1 million off a song. He wrote that song, Take Time to Know Her. I don't know if you know that one. But he's written a bunch of country classics, too, and just a legendary writer. He passed away maybe 2 years ago. But that was my, first number one, which is cool, And the fact that, he pitched it, he was over there in that country pitching songs to all kind of artists over there as a publisher, But
we're recording this at 1:00 in the afternoon in Central Time, in your Nashville time. When you got up this morning, what time did you get up, first of all? When you got up?
6 o'clock.
All right.
I don't usually get up that early, though.
What were you the most excited?
I can understand.
I got to take care of horses in the morning, so I've got to wake up early. My wife's out of town. I got to take care of the horses and the rest of the farm.
Oh, so normally the wife gets up and takes care of the horses.
Yes, that is her deal. Yes.
I see how that works. So from 6 a.m. till noon, and then you had to come on this silly podcast. what were you the most excited about? I don't mean of the day, but just in your life right now. What's the thing you're most excited about? And then when you're done with us, what's the thing you're going to do as soon as you're done with us?
Well, getting that mix done was exciting. I picked the magnolia blossom off the magnolia and put it in a bowl in the kitchen. That was exciting. The whole kitchen will just smell like magnolia here in about 2 hours,
See, I knew it was going to be.
When I was hooking up with you guys, I've been looking forward to that. I love Bob. Anytime, and it's my first time meeting you, John. I'm honored to meet you, by the way.
You'll love me. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
Eventually. So I knew that you would have a professional answer, and then you would have this personal answer of picking the magnolia off. I just knew when I asked it that was going to happen. There's a local ice cream place called Meltdown.
Oh boy.
And they unleashed honeysuckle ice cream over the weekend, and the line was so long it was out the window. Out the door, and so I couldn't get any yet. And then, but. Have you guys had honeysuckle ice cream?
No, I have not. I have seen it, but I've never had it.
I've never had it.
I almost got it somewhere last week, actually. I gotta be good. I can't be having ice cream. No.
You didn't want to. I know you, John. You didn't want to stand in a line.
I did exactly. That's 100%. I didn't want to stand in line.
I know you well. Listen, I want to talk to you, Justin, about your work with animals.
Okay.
And your foundation and
well, yeah, I got a new charity. I was going to start it.
Your charity. You want to talk a little about that?
Yeah, it's called blesstheanimals.org, and it's based on the scripture that a righteous man takes care of their animals. It's sort of a lifelong project. Over the last few years, I spent 20% of my time helping other charities, and instead of helping everybody else in their charities, this year I'm going to help my own charity, and I'm really excited about it, Bob. Our long-term goal is to be able to help nations with their animal plans, because you got everything. You got oil spills, fires, hurricanes, and, people don't know that there's services. They'll pick up your animals, take them to another state, and when the hurricane's over, they'll bring them back, in Texas, there's a turtle program. If it's freezing down there, they saved 10,000 turtles, but, probably 5,000 more died because people didn't know about it. You know what I mean? So, if you go through North Carolina and you find an eagle on the side of the highway that's wounded, you'll be able to go to our app and find a place you can call there that will come out and pick it up, or you can take it there, and they'll see that thing till it's fixed, And our goal is to educate and connect dots about animals, from animal extinction to animals coming out of extinction to, helping people in wartime and hard weather and tragedies. In Australia, they lost 800 and something thousand animals 4 years ago in that fire. And there's another 500,000 that are walking around wounded.
Even in the last, I don't know, since January, there's probably been 3 people who have, me personally, would be like, I don't know, what am I, the oracle with all the answers? I found this animal on the side of the road. Who do I call? Right. Well, your app will help them with that. And that's amazing.
Well, yeah, I had a friend last week. They found an owl on the side of a highway, baby owl. And they were looking for a place. There's a place called Walden's Puddle that you can take them to around here in Nashville. But, what we'll be doing is for this all over the world. We'll be doing this, home by home, county by county, city by city, state by state, nation by nation, man. And, what do you do with animals in wartime? People don't understand. There's zoos all over the world, Nobody thinks about the animals. You know what I'm saying? And our goal is just to bless the animals, to connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? It's a very simple deal,
It's spectacular.
And it's all the things that are out there you can't believe. And it's going to be major education. We're going to talk about an armadillo can control their gestation period up to 3 years. An armadillo can swim underwater for 6 minutes. I bet you didn't know that, did you?
I do now.
The prehistoric possum has talent.
Jon Meyers. One animal can.
So anyway, I'm excited though, and our goal is to be very gentle and soft with our website. Because we want it when people go there, we want them to know that they are respected, they are loved, and that we respect the animals. And at the end of the day, when God made the promise of the rainbow, you know who He made that promise to? Do you know who He made the promise of the rainbow to?
The animals.
he made it to man first, and separately He made it to the animals because they only had 2 of their kind for the most part that made that ship. they lost all of their animals, just like the humans are gone, But I mean, just around the world, no matter who you are, there's animals are something we should respect. We're going to show them that they're going to be blessed when they bless the animals. You know what I mean?
One of my favorite scriptures is in so I'm not going to say the numbers because I'll be one number off and I'll be wrong. But in Genesis, when God says, okay, I'm going to say 2:18, but I don't know if that's right. When he's like, and he tells Adam that he has to name all the animals. Yeah. You get to name all the animals now, right? And then and I'm going to give you a helpmeet, right? But he makes Adam name every animal on earth and in the water, and some say in the air, or some say in the water, before he gives the helpmeet. Like, and he had to do the work at the time. That was the world's biggest job.
Yeah.
He had to do the world's biggest job by himself before he got his helpmeet.
I thought that was incredible. Yeah. Yeah. It's a big job, man, naming all the animals.
I know. And like, but God's like teased him with it. Oh, you're gonna get help, but not yet.
Not yet,
like,
right?
He could have waited till later to tell Adam that, but he didn't. He intentionally told him before he had to do the world's biggest job.
There's a lot of those things I don't get and understand, but
So if you've written some songs, animal theme songs that you've taken the money from and donated it, correct?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought we had talked.
No,
about
we have a song. I have a company called Songbird Educators, and we talk about animals in some of those songs. They're like 30-second songs. I got a collection of those, but that's me and all my other writers. They're like the old remember Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function? Those kind of songs. It's like that. It's educational and all that stuff. But I did write one for I wrote Bless the Animals for the charity, and we'll be having that out. And
that's what I
meant. I did have that one. Yeah, and I got a lot of big artists on that, and we haven't mixed that yet either. And I have artists from all over the world and they don't sing on it. All they speak is they say, bless the animals. They speak it out. And we're going to have this chorus with all these big artists just speaking, bless the animals, just speaking that out. Because that's our goal. Our goal is to get other people thinking that way. And if we can get people thinking to be more responsible with their animals, and even if they help an animal, a dog that's out in the cold in 20 below zero weather, and they decide to take it in the garage because of what we do, it's worth it. It's worth it.
It's great.
I saw online, so it must be true. No, I saw online you standing in front of a sign that said Ben Peters, this commemorative sign. Tell us who Ben Peters
That was my father.
I know.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah. And tell the people who he is, and then go ahead and tell the people who he is.
Well, he's my father. He's an ex-Navy guy. He was a Navy-based pilot out of Pensacola, Florida. Married my mother, and then he went to Atlanta hoping to write songs. And started writing songs, and wound up being a world-class songwriter. He's in the Hall of Fame as a songwriter. He's sold a couple 100 million records, had about 20-something number one songs, and he passed away 2005, but we're still getting gold records every year on his music. I mean, he had a song that was just on the Opry 100th anniversary with Charlie Pride, "Kiss an Angel, Good Morning." You probably know that one.
Yes, sure do. But in fact, you told me did you go to the Opry that night?
I didn't go that night. It was actually, no, I did not go. I don't even know that I was in town that night. They used our song, and they got a license ahead of time. They told me they were going to use it. I didn't know who was going to do it, but it was really cool because they had a lot of other big songs that were really country songs, original country songs. And they had all these new artists, honoring old country music. And it was, honestly, it was one of the most refreshing shows I heard of from my friends. A lot of my friends said they actually played country music the entire night, And that's something that, country music's not what it used to be, for country right now.
What year did your dad go into the Songwriters Hall of Fame?
I think in the 70s. He wrote songs like "Daytime Friends," "Nighttime Lovers," "Before the Next Teardrop Falls." That's been. That song's been in about 40 movies. Just that song's been in about 40 different movies.
So, what would he say about your effort? What would Ben Peters say about your animal efforts?
He loves animals. He loved animals. I think he would be surprised that I started a charity about it, though. I do think he would be surprised.
And why is that?
Just
What was the problem?
I don't know, just because when you do a charity, it's a little bit different slice of your life. It's not in any way part of your profession. And it does take time. I mean, it takes time, but if I wouldn't have spent time in charities before, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But I helped out down in Fort Lauderdale. They had situations down there in the arts. They were trying to take art out of the school down there, and I'm like, the grades go down as soon as you do that, man. You take the one fun thing the kids like out of the school, and I was just going down there trying to help them out, keep the arts in the school down there in Florida, and they asked me to go down there and help them design some building for the arts, and then they had these programs where they'd take graffiti artists that were doing all this illegal painting stuff, and they had 2 corporations, and each one hired one of those things from one of the competitions. We put up canvases, like 8 canvases, and these graffiti artists showed up, knowing they had a chance to get a real job, making $50,000 a year as a graffiti artist. So they're and I also would give a kid a guitar, who couldn't afford one, instead of him going to drugs. He'd start playing that guitar. They'd give a girl, buy him a tutu so they could go take dance lessons and pay for the dance lessons. I've seen what compassion looks like to humanity, and it's a beautiful thing when it's done right. When you're vetting those people out, and that's for real. There's a need there, and you're helping these people make history.
Every moment you've lived has led you to this moment right now. So it's been in preparation for this new thing, and your next chapter is this charity.
I wish I could tell my dad. I wish I could.
Did your father know that you followed in his footsteps as a songwriter?
Yeah, he knew. Yeah, oh yeah, because I had a lot of success early. I did. I was in high school. In high school, I was mowing lawns and making jewelry for the stars. Actually, I used to. I learned from a master jeweler in Chicago named Lee Peck, and I took a 2 weeks crash course. So I gave all that up as soon as I started doing music. I just quit all that stuff. I hadn't made a piece of jewelry since high school. Well, since high school, and haven't mowed a lawn since then either, except my own. And for 25 years, I didn't mow my own home because I refused to. But when we moved out here to the farm, oh my gosh, man,
Well, you got a big old.
I got a big old bad boy mower, 68 incher and a 0 turn, and I said that's the only way I'm mowing. I told my wife, I said I'm not mowing unless we do that. But the first time I mowed it with a push mower, let me tell you, it took 2 weeks.
No.
5.5 acres, man. 2 weeks, man. That's how long it took me to push it, man. That was ridiculous. I ain't never doing it again, man.
I'm surprised by the jewelry making.
Yeah.
Because when you said that you were told to go get a fancy suit, I thought you were gonna say you went to Nudie and got one of those bejeweled Dwight Yoakam, Porter Wagner kind of jacket suits, but you went to Kohl's.
Yeah. It was just on the way, and it was just supposed to get a nice outfit, and just a nice outfit, and
a nice outfit for the lady who was going to hire you to do the commercial.
Yeah, which I didn't know that in advance, but because what I was wearing. I was wearing my workout clothes, okay? And because I was going to sit there for 4 hours and go to the gym. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess we won't go to the gym today, I was thinking it was going to be 2 hours on the car instead of 4. But when I realized it was, $350 and it's the deep clean, they said makes your car look brand new, and it did. They made my car look brand new. I couldn't believe
it. Do you think... So, getting the Riptide thing came up all that time later there. You learned to make jewelry for some reason, and you haven't done it.
I was trying to make money, man.
So do you think that'll reappear sometime before?
Well, I was collecting rocks before then. I'll collect coins and rocks and stamps. And
well, you still collect coins.
Yeah, I still collect.
We've talked.
I still collect stamps. I still collect rocks. Yeah, I don't make jewelry anymore, but I still keep my wife in good jewelry. I know good jewelry. I care about, I love what God makes, the natural stuff. I don't believe in crystal healing and all that stuff, but I do believe in the beauty of what God makes. And what he makes is incredible,
I bet you're not done with that yet.
Well, I'm still having fun, I mean, I buy stones and, but I don't make joy. I don't make joy.
Well, I'm just glad that we ended up getting to know each other, and Jen Godson kind of made that.
Yes, what a sweetheart.
Possible by hiring us both.
John,
me to write
their set, man, for their movie was such a rare set. I mean, we're talking a greatest hits of people, noble people, kind people. I mean, you don't find these kind of sets very often.
But it comes out in the movie. You see it in the film. I mean, you see what kind of movie it's been. It's been an incredible success. That trophy back there is a best screenplay.
Amen. Yes, sir.
I got for that movie. So
you brought it home, man. And you know what? I appreciate them researching it to find such a quality guy like Bob. And that was amazing how that all came together. They had so many pieces of the puzzle that came together. I don't know if you know Jen and Jim, but Jim, he was there directing traffic while he's producing the movie. He wasn't. There wasn't no job. He's too humble for him.
He was directing traffic, producing the movie, and starring.
Yes, but he was just the ultimate producer, and his wife was too. And what's the coolest thing? I want to tell you this. One of my fondest memories ever is when I showed up on the set. It was day 10 of filming. It was in Georgia on a farm out there. I forget the name of it. And I showed up for my day, and I get there, and like the film crew comes up to me singing the song Santaland. Okay, because you probably hadn't seen the movie, but anyway,
no, I seen it.
In the movie, I sing it with the whole cast because they called me and said, "Hey, will you come sing this with the whole cast?" I said, "Sure." And I got there, and the film crew was singing me the lyrics. Okay, you go to the bathroom, the lyrics are on the bathroom door. You go to the green room, the lyrics are in the green room. They're in the lunchroom. They're in the makeup room. Jen posted up these lyrics everywhere during those 10.
Yeah, so everybody would learn them for when you shot.
During those 10 days. She put them up every day somewhere different. And I'm sitting there in the makeup room. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, man. And he learned it in the makeup room where we were,
It's a wonderful movie. It's a great song. And I am thrilled that I got to be part of it. And I'm thrilled that I got to get to know you through it. Because we've ended up being friends beyond
absolutely
that.
You got that right.
And
I got to see it on the big screen.
Fantastic.
Twice, I think. I think I've seen it on the big screen twice.
It played at a film festival that I was speaking at.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And they played it on the big screen in a big movie theater, and it looked great.
Yeah.
And you looked
Thank
great.
you, man. I appreciate that, man. I was a kid actor. I don't know if you know that, but my first gig in the entertainment business, I was 6 years old, acting in a commercial with Minnie Pearl. And they loved my milk mustache. And back then, they paid me big money back then for that. And it was like I got $500 for a day of acting as a 6-year-old kid. That's my first paying gig ever was with her. Now, I don't know if you know Minnie, but she was an opera star. And
I know.
And she wound up mentoring me as a kid actor. In fact, one of the greatest things I think anybody can know in this audience, she shared with me. She said, "Justin, love the people, and they will love you back."
Aww.
She shared that with me when I was a 6-year-old kid, man. It changed my life back then.
She was a firecracker.
Oh, she was awesome.
She was
yeah, she wound up being one of my mentors. She was a sweetheart.
You have two new songs that you told me that you wanted to talk about. One of them's rock, right? And then one's Christmas.
Yep.
Tell us about those.
Well, the rock one, it's my first rock single as an artist, which I'm a rock and roller, man. I love rock music. I mean, I just love rock music. In fact,
that's why I have all those.
I know, man. I'm jealous, man. Have you seen his collection, John, of his guitars? I'm like, he's got a way bigger collection than I got. But
he has more than you do?
Yeah, oh yeah. But I've got my key instruments that I use. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something.
There's a mandolin in there too in that room.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, my single. Yeah, my single. Yeah.
rock and roll.
Yeah, and it's actually in honor of Lady Liberty. It was we released it on her birthday, October 28th. You know, I'm a big patriot here, and we want to release it in honor of Lady Liberty. So we put it out there. It's you know, basically imagine our country rock and rolling, but it's gonna be in a movie. They've had some legal things they've had to work through because it involves a lot of big actors, and they were sort of a play on the movie. But I asked them, I said, look, you know, I know I can't promote it with the movie because I don't even know the freaking title of this thing. But I said, I want to release this thing on Lady Liberty's birthday, and I got their permission to do it. But I really appreciated that because I didn't want to wait. I don't know. I just felt like this song was supposed to go ahead and get out there. And they'll still use it in the movie, whatever. But I mean, it's like,
well, is it out? Is it out now?
my song is, yeah. The movie's not out. They're still
doing. You know, if you provide a link
for
John,
yeah.
He'll post.
He is.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely do it. I had some cool graphics done up for the cover, and it turned out great. I used some of the best musicians here in Nashville. You know, it turned out the way I wanted it. I write a lot of songs that are rock and roll, but I get the players to play them because they can play them way better than I can. Yeah.
So what's the Christmas?
Well, the Christmas song is one I wrote last year with one of my writers, Brenda Mathis Ennen, and she is. We wrote the song last year called. She was on the golf course and she calls me up and said, "I have a couple really cool titles," and she shared 3 titles with me, and then she shared this title, "Spread the Merry Around." And as soon as she gave me the title, I had music, and I had to hang up on the phone, let her go finish her golf game. And I was at the gas station. That's where I was. So I had to go park somewhere and record this melody before I forgot it. And I basically had the whole chorus done in 3 minutes. And then I didn't finish it till later. We hooked up and finished the verses. But it's called "Spread Merry Around."
That's the one with Sandy
Kelly. Yeah. She's like one of the legendary Irish artists over there. And one of our songs, we had a song with her. She had her own TV show for years. We had the theme song for it. In actuality, we got a duet with Willie Nelson coming in on that this year. Willie joined her on one of our songs, and that's coming out this year. So that's going to be
Willie Nelson and Sandy Kelly,
Sandy and Willie, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's done duets with Johnny Cash before. I mean, she's been around a long time. She's like one of the rocks there. You know how U2 is a rock staple there in Ireland. Well, she's a country pop, staple there. She's a sweetheart though. I've known her for years, and
that's great. I mean, I love the fact that you're not afraid to work with anybody.
No, man.
You're open.
She's great. She's great, man. She's fantastic, man.
Are you going when Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan are coming down there in June? Are you going?
Yeah, that's happening, isn't it? There's a good chance I might go to that actually. Yeah.
It's the end of June.
Where are they going to be?
In Franklin at the amphitheater.
They're going to be there.
Do I have that right?
That's true. That probably tickets are already gone. I mean, it don't hold that many.
I just went to see Paul Simon.
He was there, wasn't he?
At the Ryman.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Boy, he was.
But I didn't know Dylan was coming to Franklin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. A friend of mine is partially running that tour, so I'll just call.
There you go. Boom. There you go. I don't know. Dylan's a great act,
What?
Yeah, I probably will go. I probably will go if there's tickets available.
There you go. So give our viewers a call to action. Tell them to do something out of their comfort zone.
Out of their comfort zone? Well, if you own a house and you have trees on your property, go out and pick a leaf from all the different kind of trees and go identify them and be smart about even your own place. So when you're taking people on a tour of your own property, you can tell them what kind of trees you got and and if there's some issues going on, you can go in there and help make those trees healthy again, right?
I love this.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Exactly. Hey, I, as a project for a kid in high school, I was supposed to go to 7 different states and pick as many different trees as I could and make a notebook of it. And you know what? I learned a lot from that project. I learned so much. I had no idea there were so many evergreens. I didn't know there was a Japanese dogwood, a Tennessee dogwood. You know what I mean? Just like there's only 2 kind of zebras you can eat. There's 30 kind of zebras in the world, but only 2 of them you can eat the rump of. Seriously.
So the thing about your call to action, I got to tell the people how they get that to us. But I like that. So how old were you when you made that notebook?
I was probably 9th grade.
Now, when you were in 9th grade, did you ever imagine you'd be on a podcast and you would tell people to go do the same? They didn't even have podcasts.
They didn't have podcasts. I know. I never.
You would go on the radio and you would tell the people, the world, that you would have a platform across the world to tell people to do the same project that you did. That's crazy.
Well, like when we bought our farm out here, I never heard of a donut peach. Have you ever heard of a donut peach?
Nope.
Well, we got a donut peach tree in our yard, and man, they look like donuts. They look just like donuts, man. It's crazy,
And they're delicious.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's like, I never knew that. There's so much that I don't know right now. It's unbelievable how little I know.
I know less. So
I'm just like,
well, viewers. So after you go pick the leaves off of the trees in your yard, so you can send us pictures too, but write about the experience, write about the kinds of leaves that you found. If you have a donut peach, go ahead and send one to Bob.
And don't use that identifier program because it's not accurate. It's not very accurate.
No.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but I don't recommend the identifier program.
Look it up in the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's the only accurate.
Yeah, the other thing you can do is trace it or draw it,
Take it to the county extension office, and then you get a field trip out of it, and ask them to identify.
And share them by the size of the leaf, smallest to the biggest, or the biggest to the smallest.
Oh my goodness, so many details. And then you can put your response. You can put it on our Facebook page and as a comment underneath this episode. Whenever this episode airs, you can comment under the YouTube video. You can on our website, writebettertogether.com/podcast. You can respond to the actual episode under the show notes. And there's a page on the website of call to actions. You can respond on the call to action page. Wherever you do it, we'll find it and we'll share it on a future episode.
And now you can go out today, this afternoon, and write a Write Better Together theme song for Jon's podcast.
Yes.
So I think you know this, Bob. I had a student write me Hey Jon Meyers theme song.
Right.
I still have that.
Is it a good one?
Yeah, it's awesome. I always had the best students. All right, thank you, Justin Peters. This was great.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give one more call to action. In case they don't want to do the lead project, go find 5 strangers, and bless them creatively some way. Go to Goodwill, pay for their bill. Pay the coffee for somebody behind you. Pay, do it quietly. Don't make no big deal. But find 5 people, and really show some true kindness. You'll be surprised how it will change their countenance. And at the end of the day, I hadn't told you this, but that's the goal of what we do here. Our goal is to change the countenance of the world. Take the guy who's sad, who just lost the deepest person in his life, and help him to have hope so he can take another step. You know what I mean? That's our goal, man. Our goal is to change the countenance of the world, man, to go from sad to bright to brighter, And you can do that through music. You can do that through music, but you can also do it through your acts of kindness. And that's the greatest thing you can do is love on people. I'm telling you.
You brought this full circle back to I admired your countenance when you first came on the camera. Yeah. And it's like you're a professional or something, man. A professional communicator.
Yes, sir.
Good job. I love that.
He's a very much a professional communicator.
Impressive.
He's also one of the most genuine human beings I've ever had the pleasure to know.
And we have a lot of fun. And I've had fun with you today, John. Bobby.
I loved meeting you, and so this is also will go down in the history books. The first episode with 3 beards.
Oh, cool!
We've never had 3 beards on an episode yet in all of the years.
The 3 Muska beards.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here with you guys, and thanks for letting me have some fun with y'all today.
Yep.
And we're gonna figure out a time to get together and break some bread.
Yes, sir. And write.
Yeah. Okay. So you can write Bob. You can turn Bob's vampire book into a musical. That's what I told him before we came on.
I have to say, I have a killer vampire song called "Vampires Are Real."
See?
It's killer. It's killer. I wrote it with Ren Barnes,
See?
and she's a big movie girl. You probably know her. She's always financing movies and stuff. And I wrote it with her.
Oh man,
she's actually one of my writers, but she's a sweetheart.
I'm glad the cameras are still rolling, because when this actually happens 2 years from now, 10 years from now, we have evidence.
It was her idea too. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all be good.
You be good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you.
Sure.
Man, that was amazing.
He is a terrific guy, and I'm sure that everybody was able to see what a quality human being he is, and how wonderful he is, and how they can look up his charity and also look him up and look at some of the songs he's written, or find them on YouTube and listen to them and get to know Justin a little better. But Justin Peters is a quality human being.
What I love about our guests, and he embodied that are the best at what they do, is they have a humble confidence, and he's just like, yeah, I did this with this artist, and I did this with this artist, and he never has any language that couches and I felt like I didn't belong in the room or anything like that. Like some people will do that, some especially in Nashville, and but he also isn't arrogant either. It's just like the perfect level of humility and competence.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed him. I'm glad you liked him, and I hope you get to know him better in the future, because I think you will.
Yeah, because he's going to write your musical.
No, he's going to write you a theme song for your show. So, hey, Jon Meyers.
Yes.
What berry is both the symbol of death and fertility?
Don't tell me yet. I got to guess like a couple things. A berry that's the symbol of death and utility. Now, if I was on Hollywood...
in ancient times, was the symbol for death in one and a symbol for fertility in the other.
If I was on Hollywood Squares, I'd have my zinger already to answer that. I would say an egg, but that's not a berry.
Well,
Dave Berry. It would not. Does that count? Elderberry.
This is a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess elderberry.
Well, you're wrong. It's the pomegranate.
Oh.
In Greek mythology, it was the fruit of the dead. And in Roman mythology, it was the cure for infertility.
Does it? Is that still true? Do people prescribe that?
I have no idea. You wanted me to come up with something lovely and different, and I did.
Well, you did. And I like the reason, in case viewers are new, when we started the podcast, I'm like, Emily, I can't do it unless I learn something every episode. So by forcing this segment into the episode, I will learn something new every week. And
what did you learn today, Jon Meyers?
I learned a lot today, but I learned that the pomegranate symbolizes both death and birth. And who knew? I will never look at a pomegranate the same.
Do you look at pomegranates off?
Nope. I can't tell you the last time I looked at pomegranate, and I did throw away that banana. So
I appreciate that, because I wasn't going to take it. All right. So what do we got for our final act?
It's not time for the final act yet.
What do we got?
We got to ring the bell, which I just did. And so ring the bell reminds viewers how they follow us, like and subscribe, all those things, review us. And I'm really big lately on you're not doing those things for us. You're doing those things to be a member of the writing community, to be a member of the literary community, because a rising tide lifts all boats. And and not just our podcast, or when you review our books, by contributing to the community, it'll come back, and people will contribute to you when you are being creative within the community. And so invest investing in others, and it doesn't have to be money, but it can be. Investing in others is investing in yourself. If you're a selfish person, you can still invest in others, and it'll come right back, and it'll come full circle back to you.
So hit that like and subscribe button.
Yep.
Comment on the ring the bell on the to get notifications.
Yep.
From the podcast of what's happening and what's going on, and buy my books.
Yeah, buy Bob's books. Here's one right here. And
here's the other one right here.
Well, I got the other one here too. But go ahead. You beat me
Jessica's Vampire Diary backwards.
Soon to be a musical. No, it's not backwards on our show. That's other shows.
Isn't it? Okay.
Our
Jessica's Vampire Diary. Funny book. Buy it.
It's hilarious. And it's a quick read. All right.
And it's on it's on Kindle, and there's now a voice version of it, whatever they call that. All right, now we have a final act.
And today, because you hate the game so much, I have a prize you're gonna love, and the game that you're gonna love, designed especially for you. What are you playing for today? Bob Saenz. You're playing for Margie Saenz' actual Rubbermaid container. This is hers. You're finally getting this back that I brought home. It's actually not Rubbermaid. It's McCormick brand. There you go. It's a great container.
You've taken it home twice.
I still have it. And this is what you win.
So I'm actually going to win something I already own.
Correct.
Gee, you're right. I'm thrilled.
I knew you would like it. Finally, because you need to contain your pomegranate in there. And I threw away the banana. All right. So have you ever played, and you're not going to remember this either, have you ever played 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? Have you ever played that game?
Yes.
Okay. So when the first time I met you, 100 years ago, back when you were only this tall, when you're just a wee lad, I wanted to play 6 Degrees of Bob Saenz, and you didn't want to play. And so now you have to play because you're on my show. So today we're going to do a spin on it, and we're going to play 6 Degrees of Bob Saenz between you and Paul Simon. Oh, look what I did there. La, 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 la. La, la. And I did it on my own, and I got it right. I wrote it down, so I didn't cheat or anything. I'm very proud that I was able to do it. So you can take as long as you want. I'll cut out the space of where you're thinking about it and stuff. And can you connect yourself to Paul Simon in 6 degrees or less? It's easier than you think.
Well,
besides the fact you're in the audience with him last week.
Yeah, if I've done a movie with anybody that was on Saturday Night Live with him, if he's done something with Robin Williams, there's a 6 degree. If he did something with, I'm trying to think of who it could be. A director I worked with.
You can use directors if you want.
Francis Ford Coppola. I don't know if he did anything with him.
I'll give you a help. Go backwards from, because you've probably been involved in more films than Paul Simon has. So
I know, probably, yeah.
So go backwards from the films that he's been in.
I'm a 0 with Kevin Bacon.
I
in a movie called Murder in the First, I actually throw Kevin Bacon down a flight of stairs.
Correct. So you're one step away from him. That's another clue right there.
So I don't know. Did Paul Simon and Kevin Bacon do something together? Paul Simon and Gary Oldman do something together?
Oh, I can get from Paul Simon to Kevin Bacon in 2 steps and then get to you.
Okay, how?
But that one's not as fun. So
okay, give me the fun one.
The fun one is Paul Simon, because this is one of my favorite movies, is in the Ruddles movie. You know, the Ruddles. It was like before the Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah, I know the Ruddles.
It was before Spinal Tap, and when they made fun of the Beatles, Hard Day's Night.
Yes.
And so he was in the Ruddles with John Belushi. John Belushi was in Animal House with Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, hold on, I wrote this down, was with, this is the funnest one. Kevin Bacon was with Sean Astin in Whitewater Summer, and you were with Sean Astin in Unleashed.
In Unleashed.
And you were the fire chief.
Yes.
So the key to playing this in the future, there's so many people in Unleashed.
Oh yeah, no, there's a ton of people in Unleashed. It was, but not only that. I've been in movies. There's a lot of people in that you could go find other stuff that Paul Simon did. But the Ruddles is a good one.
Yeah, that's why I picked that one, because it was the funnest one.
Starting with the Ruddles, I'll give you credit for that. That was very clever and very good.
Okay, so I give you one more since I'm prepared,
No.
and I'm so proud of myself because I did these in my own brain, and but I confirmed them all just to make sure that I wasn't wrong. Paul Simon was in Annie Hall.
Okay.
Does that help you, Annie? Paul Simon was with Annie Hall.
Yes, he was at Annie Hall.
And where do you go from there?
I don't know.
Hold on, let me open it back up.
Who else was at Annie Hall? Lots of people.
Russell Horton. Russell Horton was with Kevin Bacon in Starting Over. Kevin Bacon was in Picture Perfect with Ileana Douglas.
And Ileana Douglas was in
Unleashed.
Unleashed, yes.
With Fire Chief. They all come back to Unleashed. I can't do any of them without Unleashed. Do you know Joan Hackett?
No.
So Paul Simon in One Trick Pony, because that's the first one I thought of, was One Trick Pony.
One Trick Pony was his movie.
Right, so that's the first one I thought of.
Paul Simon directed it.
Yeah, that's the first one I thought of. But that was the hardest one because Joan Hackett, the only one I laugh with Kevin Bacon, and then do whatever you want.
Oh, I know who Joan Hackett is. You said John Hackett.
No, I said Joan Hackett. So do you know her?
Oh, I know who she is. Yeah, she was in a very, very funny movie with James Garner called Support Your Local Sheriff.
Oh, that is a funny movie. So have you met her?
No.
Do you know any Joan Hackett stories?
No.
Is she related to Buddy Hackett in any way? Is she a wife, a daughter, anything?
I have no idea.
All right, there's a call to action, people. My I don't call him bucket list.
She was a very funny, very natural actress, and I loved her in Support Your Local Sheriff. She was very funny, and it's a great movie.
So Joan Hackett and Only When I Laugh with Kevin Bacon, with The Big Picture with Scott Coffey and Unleashed with Bob Saenz. There's the three I got there. So we talked about this last time. I don't believe in bucket lists, but I believe in keeping lists of stuff I want to do. I just don't want the deadline of before I die, right? But
well, they're hard to do after you die.
Well, this is why one of the things on my list is I always wanted to meet Buddy Hackett. And I don't know why I just did. And when he died, it really hit me hard because I'm never going to get to meet this guy now. And so when I thought of One Trick Pony, I thought of Joan Hackett. And then I wondered if she was any relation, and I couldn't find a connection online with.
Can I ask you why you always wanted to meet Buddy Hackett?
I don't know. There was just something about him that he seemed like he could disarm anyone. I know he was crazy and his humor was corny, but he seemed like he could disarm anyone. And it's not like he didn't do it with his charming good looks, right? and so I wonder how he was able to do that. It's just fascinating to me. But I'll never know. And no one's ever going to write a tell-all book about Buddy Hackett.
I don't think so, no.
So there you go.
Half the people who are watching this with us don't even have any idea who he is.
Well, they can Google it. All I know is I get to keep this for another day.
Until you bring it back to my wife, because it's not mine. Okay. What an episode.
What an episode.
I'm happy about this.
Wait, I just realized now I am connected to all of those people because I'm on this TV with you. So now,
oh yes, absolutely.
so now I can be 6 degrees connected to whatever, Ileana Douglas.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Danny DeVito or all the people that I've worked with over the years.
The dinosaur that stepped on you.
The dinosaur that stepped on me. Or Michael Keaton or Matt Damon or all the people that I've been lucky enough to be around when I was when I had my acting career where my parts were this big or I was an extra someplace.
Did you ever meet Michael McKean?
Yeah, they're in the movie Jack with Robin Williams, Michael McKean and I were sitting next to each other at the bar.
Yeah.
And Father Guido Sarducci is the bartender, and I have a conversation with Robin, and then he runs over and sits next to Michael McKean and has a conversation with him.
So, first of all, Father Guido Sarducci is still alive, if you didn't know that. And we're not going to talk about it because it's political, but he's still alive.
Don Novello is his name.
Correct, and he's still alive.
And he was a very funny...
He's still funny.
Very, very self-effacing, very terrific human being.
Yeah, he's still funny.
I liked him a lot. And I liked Michael McKean, too.
Well, so that's my point.
I sat next to him for hours shooting that sequence.
So this is perfect because so then we'll say the catchphrase and get out of here. But so the thing that I like about Michael McKean, besides the fact that he was Lenny from Lenny and Squiggy, who doesn't love Lenny and Squiggy? So Bill Burr is on Glengarry Glen Ross on Broadway, and Michael McKean is also in that. And Bill Burr is very honest about, I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm not an actor. I'm in the middle of becoming an actor, but I'm getting paid to learn on stage on Broadway. And so he's in the scene with Michael McKean, and he forgets his line, and he stammers, and he talks all around the line. And then Michael McKean so generously says, "Perhaps you were wondering if blah blah blah," and then he fed him the line that way, but in such a professional way that you couldn't even tell that he was doing it. And so Bill Burr is raising his game by acting with Michael McKean. Tell me if that happened to you while you were sitting next to him on the bar.
Michael McKean is a brilliant human being, a great musician. I not only got to spend 23 hours with him that night, because that's how long we shot that night, because we were losing the location. It was Bimbo's 365 Club in San Francisco, and with Robin and Michael McKean and Fran Drescher and Don Novello, and it was a lovely evening. And there was a big bar fight that they had in the scene, and we all had a rollicking good time.
So what did he teach you in that 23 hours?
Nothing.
Man, you can't.
That he was a really terrific, nice guy. He didn't have to be as kind and nice to me because I was a nothing, nobody, one day player. I was going to be in and out of that movie and never see him again. And he was just really, really nice. He was terrific. I did a movie called Back to You where I played a TV cameraman in a cooking show. And the host of the cooking show, one of the hosts of the cooking show was Henry Winkler. And he made a point to come out onto the set, come up to me, introduce himself, say hi, find out who I was, and he didn't have to do any of that stuff. The nicest man, and I got the same vibe from Michael McKean.
I would just think, I like giving credit where credit's due. To people know him as a comedian, people know him as a musician, from Spinal Tap or whatever, but he's a master actor.
He's a chameleon. He plays so many different characters and so many different. He's wonderful. I saw him on Broadway in play called The Best Man with John Larroquette, and he was great.
And you didn't learn anything from watching him for 23 hours. I'll cut this part out, but
Well, no, you don't have to cut it out. I learned. I learned he was a consummate pro. He's just a consummate professional. He knew his lines. He knew where to be. He knew everything. He was there. He was always on. He was present at all times, and that you don't find that a lot with a lot of actors.
Because that's kind of getting back to what Justin said when he's motivating an artist. That's what that's what you're paid there. You're there to do a job, and he takes it very seriously.
Well, and that's when you're an actor, you're there to do a job. Then that's why that they call you again, or they want to see you. They want to have you back because you know how to hit your mark. You know how to look comfortable on camera. You know how to stay in character, and you know your lines, and you can take direction. That's what makes working on camera, makes you valuable when you're on a set as an actor, especially the kind of actor I was, which was little tiny parts that were 1 or 2 days and you're gone. It was fun for me. I would still do it if somebody wanted me to. But speaking of that,
that's what I say. You are gonna do it because they're coming to your town to film a TV show.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I will be available to do it. They're coming to Nashville to film a big-time television series, an ABC television series called 911 Nashville with Chris O'Donnell. And that's coming to town. I just got an email from the Tennessee Film Commission saying that they're looking for people. So...
All right, cool. Thanks. We're gonna say the phrase now, the phrase that pays. I'm gonna give you a teaser for the game next week. It's gonna because we've talked about this. This movie got saved, and there's the actual book, and it actually finally got saved, and I was the only one in America that didn't give up on it. I'm like, you gotta hold out. They have not written it off yet. They put it on the shelf and didn't do anything with it. And that company that saved the Porky Pig movie has now saved this movie.
Well, I'm glad because I love Warner Brothers cartoons.
All right, so this will be integral in next week's game.
Oh boy!
And
well, then I'll have to get my my Wile E. Coyote cell off the wall.
Yep, you will. All right. We couldn't
do this.
Couldn't have done it without you.
Without you.
Good job.